podcast. We're doing a Monday night segment for us today. Excited to be with you all. Um, and super happy, honestly, to be back. Um, at least semi-healthy. My voice is still a little bit crazy, but other than that, we're okay. The cough's going away, and I'm feeling much better. So appreciate you all who are checking in and staying true to the podcast. I know we've been like all over the place with the timing and stuff like that. We will get back to normal um, podcast times and hours and stuff like that because I want this thing to grow, obviously, as quickly and as much as it can. And just very excited and very grateful, feeling grateful for you guys for helping this thing grow the way that it already has. But appreciate all of you. And let's jump right into it. So I'm seeing Dan is in here. What's up, Dan? What a perfect weekend, except Chelsea and Liverpool didn't even get to kick a ball. Let's wrap the UCL up this week. I think Chelsea did play, right? They did. And then Chelsea, of course, got a result. I think that's what Dan means there. They ended up getting a result against Tottenham in a freaking shootout. And somebody said on Twitter that Chelsea look a lot like Liverpool right before we got like really good, right? When we went to that Champions League final and we had Karius in goal and we had Dejan Lovren in the back, and who is a cult hero of sorts for us, right? But it's right before they look a lot like us right before we put everything together. We went and got VVD. We went and got Allison, right? And it was almost like a, hey, you outscored me, I'm gonna outscore you kind of thing. And I said that pretty early on about this Chelsea side, and that's why I feel like they're so dangerous. And they're a side that we can't really overlook, mainly because they just have so many unknown variables. They are the X variable in this whole equation. You never know. And Chelsea have a history, right, of putting together random teams, right? Putting together just teams out of nowhere, changing managers, putting teams together out of nowhere and winning it in their first season. That's happened the most out of any Premier League team, I believe. And I think that actually is the case. Any Premier League team in Premier League history, Chelsea has the most first-time winners in their club. And they're dangerous, man. They definitely are. So, and the second part of Dan's question, and Nick, what's up, brother? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. And then Remote Boomer, hey, what's up, brother? And then Brian, thank you for stopping in, my man. I appreciate you. And then wrapping up this UCL this week. Girona is not the team that they were last year. And that's a good thing for us. And that's what I was trying to, I've been saying in a lot of the comments is just like, dude, it's almost too good to be true. Some of this stuff, you know, when I saw the fixtures come out, especially during this time, this past month, this month, and then obviously going into January as well, where we had like a tough run. It was AC Milan, it was Leverkusen, it was Real Madrid, it was Manchester City, and Girona, right? Back to back to back to back to back. If you're going based off of last season's form, that's a nightmare run. That's like the toughest run that you can possibly get, right? If you're trying to keep the Champions League together, keep the league together. But somehow, some way, we are hitting these teams in their lowest that they've been, the weakest that they've been, right? Real Madrid were on that skid. Man City are still on that skid. Girona isn't the Girona of last year. The Cinderella story is over. We're meeting all of these teams exactly when we need to, and it's almost too good to be true. I'm like, who's writing this? This seems almost a little staged, right? So we'll see, man. And then Chelsea are a threat 100%. I didn't word that first comment well. No problem. I know. It's all good, brother. And then Brian said, no getting 2 years, not worried about Girona, but they might be a problem. LFC aren't mentally ready. That's true. That's very, very true. And I think they will be. I think Liverpool will be mentally ready, especially after coming after that crazy ass Newcastle game. I can see Slot fielding a semi-strong side for the Girona game. He's not one to really rest players, weirdly, when I thought he would be one to rest players. He manages game time really well, right? He'll pull players off in the 65th minute, 70th minute, even against their requests. And so we'll see what ends up happening there. I can see Harvey Elliott getting minutes. Let's hope he does. Trey and Yoni, hopefully he gets a substitute appearance. Same thing with Jaden Danza. Hopefully he gets in there and is able to get some reps in. Morton, I feel like will probably get a start there. And I can see maybe Maka getting a run out, given that he's. Oh wait, no, Maka's suspended for this game, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe not Maka. Maybe Curtis Jones goes in there. As in terms of attack, I mean, I feel like our attack is rotating pretty nicely. Hopefully, Chiesa recovers from the sickness that he has going on. I'm hearing that he was ill today, and he gets a run out in there. And as for attacking options, maybe Jota gets a run out, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't think he starts. And I'm sure Diaz or Nunez probably goes in there. And hopefully, this is a confidence and a momentum building performance for him midweek. And I can see Luis Diaz getting another run in on the left-hand side. If Chiesa is fit, I think he steps in for Mo and gives Mo some rest. I think Morton gives Ryan Gravenberch some rest as well. So I can see some rotating, but not a ton of rotating. I can see Simicas maybe coming in. It's probably going to be Gerald Kwanzaa and Gomez in the back line. I'm not sure about who plays at right back. Let me know who you guys think. Because now the options aren't looking as deep, mainly because now we have to cover for a position that we thought we had sufficient cover for, which we technically do, right? I mean, who would have had Trent and Connor Bradley both going down in the span of 2 games? I don't think anybody. So we'll see what happens there. But I think there'll be a nice solid rotation. And then Chelsea are indeed creeping, Mr. Stand Up. They're creeping, man. They're a good side. Dynamic, fun to watch, end-to-end stuff, and they just blast stuff. Simi is injured. So Robbo's probably going to get the run out again. Simi is injured. I forgot about that. Thank you for correcting me there, Nick. And then Mo is getting a 2-year contract. I see that, Brian. No problem at all. I'm hearing that, and then we're going to go over that, of course, in a second in Off the Press. And I'm hearing there's more than Mo getting a 2-year contract. I'm hearing that we offered all 3 of them new contracts. This doesn't mean that, obviously, that they have accepted that, and then we're going to go, and it's good to go. We just re-signed all 3 of them. But it's good to see that the management is finally moving their feet. They're leaving it extremely late. I think this is extremely late because in 3 weeks they'll be able to speak to other clubs if we don't hash this out before Christmas, right? And then I think that makes the job 10 times more difficult when other clubs are able to come in and start having conversations with these players who I believe are very loyal, right? I think all 3 of them are pretty loyal to Liverpool, but you never know. You know, when they get talking with their managers and their agents and all this type of stuff, things can change. Things can be swayed. Their opinions can be swayed and things like that. So hopefully they wrap these deals up quickly. I would love to see more of okay, you guys are going to be staying around the same type of pay for the older 2, right? VVD and Salah. But now it's going to be more contingent on performances, right? Performance bonuses, league title wins, Champions League wins, cup wins, top scorer in Premier League, top scorer in Champions League. You get an extra 5 million, 2 million, 10 million if you get win Ballon d'Or, right? Those types of things I think needs to be baked into these contracts now that they're getting older, because I'm sure you guys have seen Redmond TV. I think it was Redmond TV. They had a podcast episode with that gentleman on there who put it really well, that there will be a drop off, right? At some point, we are going to be lucky if that drop off happens towards the end of their contracts, right? We'll be lucky if these drop offs happen at the end of year 2, and at the end of the 1 year extensions, right? We'll be lucky there because we could also offer a contract. Excuse me. We could also offer a contract, and then the drop off happens 3 months from now, right? VVD stops performing at his best. Is that likely? No. But is it possible? Yes. Right? VVD stops performing at his peak in 3 months, 6 months, at the beginning of next season, and we just offered him 2 more years, right? So us even giving the contract, and this is the perspective of the club, right? This is the perspective of the club that I'm speaking from. Us even giving the contracts is risky in the first place, right? Especially in modern day football, a lot of these players and a lot of the modern day players, they start dropping off in the 30s, 32, 33-year-old, right? It's rare that you see a Cristiano Ronaldo, or it's rare that you see a Luka Modric. It's rare that you see Toni Kroos, right? These type of players that can play well into their 30s at the highest level. It's rare. But then the drop off typically is really drastic, right? So that's probably what they're saying in the meetings. And then on the flip side, the players are probably saying, look at what I've done, right? Look at what I've done for the club. I've brought you this. I've only almost won Ballon d'Ors with VVD, right? I've brought you league titles. I've brought you Champions League titles. I'm one of the highest performing defenders in the league. I am the best player in the world right now. These are the things that the players are probably bringing to the table, right? These are the things that the players are bringing to the table, and they're saying, this is what I'm bringing to you, though, right? So it's a standoff, and I think that's what a lot of players, they need to understand, that like, just give them the contract. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. There's a lot of things that go into it, and there's a lot of things that a lot of players are going to be demanding, right? And it's like, you get both sides of it. If there's anyone that you give a contract to, it's and this is my rebuttal for the management, because I know managers are going to say, we don't give a damn what you did before. We want to know what you're going to do now and what you're going to do in the future. And there's no way we can tell that. So how can we give you money on something that we're not 100% sure is going to happen, and that you aren't even 100% sure it's going to happen? But like what you said, Mr. Standup, if there's any players that we can give contracts to right now, and it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, it's VVD and it's Mo Salah. And the two reasons why I believe that is because VVD has showed you that he can come back from what most people will see as a career-ending injury, right? That where his knee was completely destroyed by Pickford. He came back good, and then became better than when he was before the injury. That should give you a sign that, okay, he's going to perform at a really high level for a long time. There's not very many players that do that and even come back, let alone come back even half as good as they were, and then eventually become as better than they were. I feel like VVD this season at points is performing better than his peak, or better than the prime VVD, where he hadn't been dribbled past for a whole season. I feel like he's at those levels. The way that he put Haaland in his pocket, bro, in that Man City game was ridiculous. It was like a one-man army type of thing, right? And then Mo Salah. Mo Salah is the second reason for me, because I don't think we've seen a professional like Mohamed Salah, other than Cristiano Ronaldo, who takes care of their body the way that Mo Salah takes care of his body. If there's anybody you run the risk on, it's VVD, who has been able to come back from a career-ending injury, potential career ender, and Mohamed Salah, who's pretty much almost never missed a game, other than last season when he had that month of having some nagging injuries. But he's one of those players that is constantly, even in the off season, training, taking care of himself, watching how he eats, watching his diet, making sure he's at peak performance. It's very well documented that Mohamed Salah is the most fit player in the Liverpool squad. The only player that was edging him out was James Milner, and he's not at the club anymore, right? Mainly because James Milner is just an animal and he's a different beast. But in terms of peak fitness, he never not has a six-pack. He's never not shredded. He's never not at peak performance at his highest level. That's when you give him a contract. He's like a LeBron James. He just takes care of himself. Him, Cristiano, LeBron James. These are the only three athletes that I've seen that who are going into older ages for their respective sports. LeBron is on a whole different level. He's almost 40 years old and still a top 5 player in the NBA. And Mo Salah, I think I love bringing that comparison up, that dynamic up. That Mo and LeBron are so similar because they are just absolute insane professionals who are obsessed with winning, who are obsessed with taking care of their bodies and extending their careers as long as they potentially can. And I love it. And I love the fact that we're seeing more of Mo's personality as this season wears on. We're hearing how hungry he is, how dedicated he is to the sport, and how much he demands and what he expects from his teammates. I think those players you got to give contracts to, whatever the money. And no problem, Red Chili. I see you, brother. Welcome in. You're all good, brother. You're all good. And then these contracts could be only for the agents to start negotiating about the new contracts and extensions. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen, Joe. I think the negotiations have started now. Hopefully it does not take more than 2 to 3 weeks to finally get one down where we're like, this is comfortable. You're good with this. I'm good with this. Let's do it. And then FSG's contract extensions is clear for the above 30s. I believe that's why Genie left. However, they need to develop exceptions for exceptional players. The conditions to meet the clause should be. I agree, Tosin. And I think that's probably what's happening right now. They're trying to figure out how can we keep our structure intact of we don't give contracts to people over 30s, but how can we build in this exception to where it doesn't mess up our structure that we've built and our pay structure that we built, but it rewards these players. That's what they have to figure out in this next month is how can we do that? And you have to, like what Joe said, you have to make exceptions for exceptional players. And Mo Salah and VVD are on that level of exceptional players that you sign anyway. How dumb would the Lakers look if they let LeBron walk for free? They would look stupid if they let Kobe Bryant walk for free. And there was times where that was a possibility for Kobe. But the Lakers, they swallowed their pride and they gave him a contract and another one and another one and allowed him to retire a Laker because there is only one Kobe Bryant, just like how there's only one Mo Salah and just like how there's only one VVD. We'll talk about Trent in a sec because Trent's a little bit different. Trent's contract situation is completely different, right? But let's go through some of these comments. Well-defined and straightforward. It'll prevent situations like this in the future, right? Exactly. No one looks after their body like Salah does, apart from me. That's right, Red Chili. Living in Hawaii, you got to have that body, bro. It's not FSG, it's LFC. That's right. It's not FSG, it's LFC. It's true, Brian. It's true. And they have to make that exception for us. They can't let one of our legends, 2 of our legends, and potentially 3 of our legends, right, go. Not for the club. And then Salah does have that Mamba mentality. He's an animal, man. And I love seeing some of his personality come out in recent days of just like, I don't know, you got to talk to the club. I'm here to stay. I want to continue to win big games for the club. I want to keep scoring big goals at Anfield, but that's not up to me, right? And then being so hungry and being like, you know, how Robbo told him, don't put your head down, don't frown, don't be upset. It affects the rest of the team, which shows you how much the team respects Mo, right? And how they look at Mo. And Mo's like, all right, no more kicking the dirt when I have misses. I smile now. And a lot of people don't love that, right? I've seen people online, Mo's really laughing over that miss. It's not for you and the supporters, it's for the team. It's for the boys, right? To let them know I'm not frustrated. I'm gonna get another chance. And he almost always does, and he almost always bags that second or third chance. And LeBron is more of a diva where Mo is not, right? That is true. And then Brian, it's been a club policy for a long time, even before Klopp, before FSG. I can't remember an old player ever. That's a good point. Even Stevie, they wouldn't even allow Stevie another contract. But I think that was FSG though. with Stevie. No, I think FSG had already bought him. But we were in such a different we were such in a different space under Gillette and Hicks, man. It was a weird time. We could barely spend any money. And then Mr. Stand Up said, also a key thing is drinking. The players mentioned all avoid alcohol. That is very true, which increases longevity and recovery. Even a couple of drinks after the age 30 can rock a man. I will back you 100% on that. Stand Up. I turned 30 this year. I cannot drink the way that I used to drink, man. I just cannot do it. I'm like one glass of wine and then I'm finished. I'm hungover the next day. And it's true. It's so true. And that's why I'm looking at guys like Jack Grealish, who are known to be big drinkers, right? Who was at the peak of the sport, at the top of the sport. Everybody was talking about it. He was the next big talent out of Man City. And then where is that gone now? And Phil Foden is another one. Like, what happened to Phil Foden? And he's such a young man. I mean, obviously, he has time to bounce back. But it's the partying. It's the drinking. Look at Neymar. He can't even stay fit because he just loves to party. Ronaldinho was another one that was like that. Adriano was another one that was like that, that just could not stop partying. They could not stop partying, and they didn't have as long careers as they probably should have, right? Neymar's career is potentially over because he just cannot stay fit. He just consistently is getting injured over and over and over. And he looks like he's already retired in terms of fitness. So sad. Yep, exactly. Stand Up. Jack Grealish was a talent, but his partying has halted him, and it's so true. I mean, I think he scored like 2 or 3 goals in like the past like 3 years or something like that. Insane. We need Salah. Hasn't he scored or assisted in 67% of our goals? Yes, he has. And I think it's like closer to 70% now after this last game. We need him. The policy was introduced under our previous American owners. That's what I thought, that it was Gillette and Hicks. But we barely bought anybody under Gillette and Hicks anyway, bro. Like, who were the big purchases from Gillette and Hicks? I think Coutinho was a Gillette and Hicks signing. No? You guys will have to let me know. I think Coutinho was like one of the last Gillette and Hicks signings. Daniel Sturridge, I think, was a Gillette and Hicks signing as well before we got bought by FSG. Interesting. Oh, it's Suarez. Luis Suarez, right? Or wait, no. You guys will have to let me know. Imagine one glass of wine and then you got a game the next day, right? And some players do that. They drink before the games. They go and they party before the games. And it's just like you're hungover on the pitch. That's crazy. Joe Cole. Oh, God. Joe Cole was another one. I'm 71 and I can still drink as much. Red Chili, you're special. You're special, man. Oh, Alexander Pato, another Brazilian dude, Pato was supposed to be him, bro. Pato at AC Milan was special, bro. I liked Alexander Pato a lot. I wanted him at Liverpool. Man. I really did. Joe Cole was the last Gillette and Hicks signing, I think, though. And then Suarez was FSG. That's what I thought. Suarez sold. Yeah. Was Sturridge an FSG signing? He was. No. Because I know Suarez and Fernando Torres was like the first, wasn't it like the first big like transfer thing that FSG did? Our previous owners were ass and people complained about FSG. Dude, Gillette and Hicks were so bad. They were so bad. That was bad ownership. Oh, my word. Got to keep Mo and Verge. 2 years seems an incredible good decision. Okay, got to develop replacements eventually. It's true. Yep. We do. And I think that's the plan. So I'm really interested to see these next couple transfer windows if we decide to go and buy talent or if we go and develop talent. I think we already have a Trent heir in Connor Bradley, and I'm interested to see what happens with, and Sturridge is one of my favorite players ever. It's an absolute shame that injuries took his career because I think he would be one of our all-time players. And I may be one of the few people that actually truly believe that. I think Sturridge would be one of our all-time players if he stayed fit. The goal scoring record that Daniel Sturridge has is not at Liverpool is not talked about enough at all. They would pay $100 million for a player like Sturridge in today's age. They would. For a player like Sturridge in today's age, you would pay $1 million for him. The goals that he scored, the amount of goals that he scored, he was up there with Luis Suarez in that season where Luis had that monster season that like almost half of his goals came like on only like a third of the season. But Sturridge was a dog, man. He kept up with Luis Suarez, and that was like one of the most prolific attacks that we've ever seen. And damn, I miss it. I missed that combo. It was so unfortunate that he just never could stay healthy, and Suarez ended up moving on. But I'm really happy that he was able to get Sturridge at Bolton when he was younger. Oh my God, that was another Chelsea talent. That's just like, how did Chelsea lose that guy? How did Chelsea let that guy go? Right, but bringing him in was just like a master stroke. That was like one of the best signings in that era, I think, if not the best one. I'd say it was the best one in that era. But or maybe not, because there's Zabi Alonso in there, there's Mascherano in there, Torres is in there, is in that era as well. The Gillette and Hicks era. So interesting stuff. But big shout out to Daniel Sturridge, to Studgy, doing the I miss that, man. So unfortunate, but I'm happy that he was able to get a Champions League while he was here. Such a huge accomplishment. But outside of that, the contracts will be interesting. Yeah, without a doubt. Sturridge was a lot more prolific in front of goal than his dad. I didn't know his dad played. That's a good fact. Sturridge was an animal, man. Daniel Sturridge was an animal, dude. I love Daniel Sturridge a whole ton. And I like that he always fights for us in terms of the commentary. Like more than Kara does. Way more than Kara does. Like Sturridge is still like a red through and through, which I love, bro. But we had this Portuguese he left for Chelsea. He has tattoos, loads of them. Are you talking about Raul Morales? Are we talking about Raul Morales? I thought we got Raul Morales. I thought we got Raul Morales after he went to Chelsea, or was that before? Is that Are we talking about Raul Morales, one of the Gillette and Hicks last signing? He did go to Chelsea after. Oh, oh, fuck. I completely forgot about that. He did end up going to Chelsea. Morales was our player of the season that year. I remember that vividly. Morales was our player of the season. How did we let him go to Chelsea? Because I remember he was our Liverpool player of the season that year. Because I remember that Suarez was out for a lot of that season. So he didn't get it. And he scored like some huge goals for us that season. I remember that vividly. I remember he only scored bangers. That is hilarious, dude. That's a blast from the past, 100%. Hey, Mr. Stand Up, thank you for bringing that up, man. That's like a crazy ass memory. Albert Riera was also a good Hicks signing. That's true. So they weren't that bad, but they were bad. remember Dosena? Who remembers Dosena, bruh? Dosena was supposed to be like the second coming of oh man, who's the Brazilian guy that was just a crazy free kick taker? Oh, and he was a left-sided, but he just never could stay healthy, and he was so good, and we bought him as like a replacement for him. And damn, I'm completely forgetting his name. Let me know if you guys remember that guy. Left-sided, left back, scored a banger of a goal against Manchester United. Was a master of free kicks. Fabio Aurelio. Boom. Fabio Aurelio. Yep. Fabio Aurelio. Yeah. Dude, you're re-jogging my memory on some of these players that we bought during the Benitez era. That was like, dude, we were just trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat with some of these signings. There was talent there with some of the signings. But dude, man, I believe the last pick from Gillette and Hicks was our little magician. I think he was. I think Coutinho was a Gillette and Hicks signing. I think he was because I remember that one was just like he was a little bit of an unknown, right? He played for Inter Milan. Was a very high potential player, but just could not get starting time at Milan. He just kept going out on loan, out on loan, out on loan. And we ended up buying him. I believe it was for like 10 million. We ended up buying him for. And I was expecting absolutely nothing from this kid. And he turned out to be one of our best players, man. Maybe ever. Coutinho was special, bro. When he started getting coached up by Gerrard, when Gerrard taught him how to strike a ball, oh my goodness. Coutinho was a Rodgers signing. Mm. And that was the start of the FSG era, if I'm not mistaken, right? And a Damian Comoli. Oh, Damian Comoli. Who remembers Damian Comoli, guys? Oh, damn. He was the start. He was like the OG Michael Edwards. He was the OG Michael Edwards. He actually was not that bad. I know Comoli sometimes gets a lot of slack from some of the signings that he made, but Comoli was not that bad as a director. He brought some pretty good talents in. Dejan Lovren is a cult hero. He's another Comoli signing. Um, who else was during the Comoli era? Man, FSG was a start. Was Kenny Dalglish. This is Red Chili. To be fair, this was before sporting directors and stuff like that was, um, they were like stars and stuff like that, where people like super duper cared about backroom staff. Um, so now it's like your backroom staff. Who's your backroom staff? Who's your sporting director? Especially specifically at Liverpool, right? Where that's like a huge thing. But Kamoli was I believe he was our sporting director, um, for a few years, and brought in Coutinho. That's like his marquee signing. FSG adopted Roy Hodgson. Yeah, yeah. We should have just kept Kenny, bro. At least we won something with Kenny. But I think Kenny just didn't want to do it. He just didn't want to do it. I think he's just done. He's just done with coaching. I mean, obviously he hasn't coached since then. And bringing in Roy was like one of the craziest things, bro. Such a backwards move, man. Such a backwards move. Yeah, no problem, Red Chili. Uh, all right, brother. Dublin Island in the house. Yes, remember Torben picnic? No, I don't. I don't, bro. I don't. Was Kenny? Kenny was after Roy. Was after Roy because we fired Roy and Kenny was the caretaker manager before, um, Rogers. He was like, maybe not all the way caretaker manager, but like a pseudo man. We knew Kenny wasn't going to be a long term thing. Is the main thing. I don't know if he ever got the actual title of caretaker manager. If anybody remembers that, you're right. You're right. Stand up. Kenny came in after we fired Roy, and it was mid season, was it not? And he turned the season around, and we ended up winning the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, one of the two that season. And we salvaged like a sixth place finish, right? Dude, now I'm like now we're going back into like this isn't even like Liverpool history though. Like this is like low-key kind of recent. Let's see. Because he was the youth manager. in 2009. He was appointed by Rafa Benitez. And then following his departure, no, no. So Dalglish was, you're right. Yes. He helped actually appoint Roy Hodgson. League Cup. Thank you. He helped appoint Roy Hodgson. He was asked to help find a replacement for Rafa Benitez. So maybe this is Kenny's fault. No, I'm kidding. And then after a run of poor form in the 2010-2011 season, 15 years ago almost, if you can even believe it. We were calling for Kenny to come back and replace Roy Hodgson, which ended up happening, right? And we ended up winning the League Cup that year. And then we got to the FA Cup final. Yo, Dalglish is a badass manager, bro. Kenny is a badass. To be able to do that with that Liverpool side, which we know is very poor and poorly recruited, was insane. And it's true. He did bring in Andy Carroll, but guess what? Andy Carroll wasn't that bad back then, okay? We bought Andy Carroll and Suarez on the same day. That is a fact, bro. I remember that. And I thought Andy Carroll was the better player at that time. I remember being excited for Andy Carroll. I remember being pumped for Andy Carroll and being like, who's the Suarez guy? Oh, yeah, he's just going to be a second striker. I want to see Andy Carroll because no one could stop him in the air. I remember he just was dominant, like VVD levels in the air. But was an offensive player. He got so many damn headers for Newcastle. I'm like, all right, yeah, we're gonna be whipping him into the box. And it just didn't work out like the way that we wanted it to. Brendan Rodgers just played a different, style of football than what Kenny Dalglish was probably gonna play. And as you know, the rest is history. Kenny Dalglish is the man. He almost did the double, man. We finished 8th that season. Insane. Some EPL history for y'all right now. We get to reminisce on this one real quick. Dalglish signed Suarez and Carroll. What a man. What a signing. Hodgson gives me PTSD 100%. That was the dark ages. If you were a Liverpool fan back then, fuck, bro. Who was that Moroccan kid that couldn't get fit? That was Oh, what a great question. What a great question. I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about. And he was supposed to be like the next big thing. And we were like, oh, dude, I can't believe we got him. Let me see. Let me check I have the roster right here, believe it or not. Who remembers Paul Konchesky? Oh, my God. Kamoli signed Suarez. What a man. Suarez and Coutinho. Paul Konchesky. Insane. Raul Morales. John Joe Shelby. I think if John Joe would have stayed with us, he could have been class, bro. David Ngo. I think we sold that kid before then. Because I'm not seeing him on the team list. Oh, wait, no. Let me see. Because I'm seeing Alberto Alquilani on here. I wanted Alquilani to be so good, bruh. Danny Pacheco. Come on now. I can't find the kid, but I know exactly. He played in the Legends match recently. He was Rafa Benitez's go-to. I like John Joe a lot. Even after he left, I still think he was a good player, man. And I feel like if he just would have stayed with us, developed, he could have been good, man. He could have been good. And who remembers the Stoke guy that we signed? Absolutely. Oh man, dude, how is his name fleeting me? Dude, I remember him because he was a set piece specialist, and we wanted to get the most out of Andy Carroll. And it had a freaking wand of a left foot on his day. He was like one of the best. He had one of the best left foots that I've ever seen, but unfortunately, it just did not pan out for the boy. Oh man. What a great question. And he was like the marquee signing that season. Charlie Adam. Charlie the GOAT Adam. Charlie Adam. Oh my word. We were trying to get the best out of Andy Carroll, so we bought Charlie Adam. Man, I'm thinking about some of these players. I'm like, they weren't that bad. We were just in a bad way at the time as a club. So anyway, enough reminiscing and things like that. Let's talk about the winners and the losers from this week. And then we had that winger from Sunderland. Yes, Stuart Downing. Big dog Stuart Downing. I think Stuart Downing. Stuart Downing was also supposed to be a marquee signing for us as well. I remember I remember Stuart Downing coming in and I was lit. I was lit for Stuart Downing, bro. And he was such a one-dimensional winger, man. Thinking back on those days, it's just, dude, you had to be dedicated to be a Liverpool fan. Hey, thank you. Hey, this chat shows me that you guys are like legit Liverpool fans. Like you didn't start following the Liverpool when they won the Champions League or won the league. You're OGs. You've been through through the dark ages with Liverpool, man. So I appreciate you guys. Like, dude, these are some crazy signings. If you don't know any of these guys, um, look them up, bro. They'll make you laugh. Alberto Aquilani, Paul Konchesky, Stuart Downing, Raul Morales, Maxi Rodriguez. Some of these guys just like they had no business playing for Liverpool FC. They were all the rejects, man. Momo Sissoko, Sako. These are just some of the dude. I mean, they tried working out for a lot of these players, unfortunately. So, all right. So let's look at who are the winners and the losers from this past week. We didn't play, so I think this will be one of the first weeks where we're not in either category or in the winning category like we typically are, or on form category like we typically are. But let's see here. We have Brentford, who beat Newcastle. Yeah, Newcastle's going out of form, bro. How do you go life and death with the best team in the league, and then you lose 4-2 to Brentford? Does that make any sense? How do you go life and death with us? Look the best that you've looked all season, have a Premier League classic, play some of the best football you've ever played, and then lose 4-2 to Brentford. I don't get that. I don't get Newcastle. And then Isak scored again. Absolute animal. Mbuemo and Wisa also got goals. Animals. I'm not saying it, not putting anything against Brentford, but after that performance against us, you probably are like, oh, they're going to go on a winning streak. Nope. And then, and then United lost to Nottingham Forest. So that's going to be my bottom three. I'm going to go Newcastle because these are people that probably should have won. Maybe I'll do bottom four, right? Because I think you'll know who I'm going to throw in the four. We'll go Newcastle. We'll go Man United because they should have won that game, right? It's a game that they should be winning. I know they're in transition and things like that, but they've been okay, right? They've been very up and down. To be fair, Nottingham Forest are in a very good way this season, sitting in 5th place. They're in good form. So maybe it's not too much to be asking from them. So maybe I'll take United out of that. Maybe that's the result that we should be expecting from United. Let's go Man City. Because after bouncing back, they're back. I mean, one win in their past like 11 or something like that. Something is wrong here. Something is wrong here, right? We got to understand that. Something's happening at Manchester City that's bad. And maybe they know something that maybe we don't know. And that's why there's a lot of tension around the club. It's affecting the players. It's affecting the manager. And maybe they're not doing as well as they thought they were going to be doing in that 115 charges or 130 now, I'm hearing. Case. I think they may lose it, guys. And I think it's affecting the players, it's affecting the manager. We'll see. We'll see if Pep Guardiola even is around by the time they get sentenced. And then Arsenal. This is an opportunity for them to gain ground on us. We had the game postponed due to severe weather, right? They could have dropped the lead, cut it all the way down, and they choke against Fulham. And to be fair, again, it's another one. Fulham is having a good season. You know, they look better than they probably should be looking. Some good talents. We're going to be facing them soon as well. But that's a game you have to win if you're trying to keep up. If you're trying to catch someone, if you're trying to catch somebody and they have a lead on you, those are must-win games. It's a win. You have to get the wins in those. You have to. You have to. So those are my bottom three. I'm going Man City, I'm going Newcastle, and I'm going Arsenal based off of what you are supposed to be expected to do and what's expected for you to happen as a team and as a club, as a big six, right? And what actually happened. They should be getting wins out of all of those matches. All of those teams should. Newcastle, Man City, and Arsenal, based off of their recent performances. Man City bouncing back, and then obviously Man City being Man City. Newcastle pushing us to the limit, right? And then Arsenal, who are supposed to be competing with us. Those are my bottom three. Now let's look into these comments here. Severe weather for the Everton match did us a favor to the rest of the players, 100%. And it ended up working out in our favor because everybody who's a big competition for us, they drop points. Man City dropped more points. Arsenal dropped more points. We get to rest. Beautiful weekend for us. Played great football one week, awful the next. Yeah, Newcastle is like, what the fuck? What's going on there? Why didn't we get that Newcastle? Why did we get, prime Liverpool, Newcastle? Prime Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool, Newcastle. What the hell? It was barren for a while. The LFC got the master Klopp. We were the only winners this weekend. Chelsea are the real chasers. That's what it looks like now, Derek. It looks like Chelsea are a real threat this season, but I don't know if they can hold on for that long, mainly because their goalkeeping situation is up in the air and they don't have great defense. Similar to how we were before we kind of buttoned everything up and got better with VVD and we got better with Allison and things like that. I think they maybe are one more year out before they're serious. I think if things continue to go the way that they're going for Arne Slot, it'll be a Chelsea-Liverpool battle. And excuse me, if Man City do end up losing that court case and they get sent to no league football, whatever ends up happening with them, I think it'll just be Liverpool versus Chelsea for a long time. I think it'll be Liverpool versus Chelsea for a long. That will be the rivalry. If Chelsea continue to put it together, they don't fire their manager and give them more time. And they get the system together because it's working and it's clicking and it's fitting for what the players that they have right now. And they need to stop buying players before they get in trouble too. But yeah, now Liverpool have a game in hand, so it's even better. That's right, Brian. It's even better now, man. The fact that they dropped points and then we got the game in hand, bro, I'll take it. Guys, have to bounce in a minute. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That is right, Mr. Stand-Up Guy. You are the man. I'm gonna pin that. Make sure you guys like this stream so it can get out to more people. And then I joined the podcast late. Can we talk about Nunez? Time for us to sell him in January. It's been 3 years. Enough is enough. We will talk about Nunez in a second. When we do some off the press type of stuff. We talked a little bit about the contracts. Maybe we'll wrap up with Nunez and some transfer rumors. Have a good one, everyone. I'll see you on the next one. Stand up. You are amazing, man. Appreciate you. We haven't been in a title race with Chelsea since Gerrard slipped. True. Don't bring up Gerrard slip. Don't bring up Gerrard slip, please. Chat changed. Asadi and Pep lost locker room. Yeah, Pep did lose the locker room. Love your channel. Great LFC content. YNWA. Talak. I don't know what that is, but I think it's an old Irish word, which I love. Teach me how to pronounce that, please, because I just was able to figure out how to pronounce Queevy Callagher's name. But Cop Bites, appreciate you, Derek, and appreciate your love for the channel. And yeah, so and then my winners for this week, I will say Liverpool can be the overarching winner, even though we didn't play this week. But I think all of the results are going to our favor. But if we're gonna go off of people who actually played or our teams who actually played, I'm gonna go with Chelsea. I'm gonna go with Bournemouth, and I'm going to go with. I mean, you got to go Nottingham Forest, don't you? You got to go Nottingham Forest, and maybe Fulham, right? Just because Nottingham they're right there. They're in 5th place. They're fighting for a Champions League spot, which is insane to even think about. So they're right there. They're right in the mix. I mean, Aston Villa is right there. Brighton is right there. Bournemouth is even right there. That's what I'm going for. I'm going to say the winners from this week are Nottingham Forest. We're going to go Bournemouth and Brentford. Big win for Brentford. They're all on 23, 24, and 25 points. 2 points off of Man City, if you can even believe that. 2 points off the Man City for Nottingham Forest. 5 points off of, 4 points off of Man City is Brentford. And 3 points off of Man City is Bournemouth. Who would have predicted that at the beginning of the season? Who would have predicted that in the beginning of the season? I don't think anyone. Same thing with Brighton. Brighton is in the mix there. Of course. They drew their game. I think we'd be looking at a completely different table, obviously. If Brighton would have won their game, they'd be only a point behind Man City and putting pressure on them for a top 4 spot. What? The Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford, and Fulham are putting pressure on Manchester City for a top 4 spot in the Premier League. I'm going to repeat that. Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Bournemouth, and Brentford, and Fulham are putting pressure on Manchester City for a top 4 spot in the Premier League. What is going on with this league right now, man? What is going on with this league right now? I love it. I love how competitive it is. I love how the tables have just turned on Manchester City, and that when we thought that this league was turning into a farmers league, bro, it's not. It's competitive again. Manchester City was embarrassing everybody, winning leagues back to back to back, winning trebles and stuff like that. We thought it was going to turn into a Bayern Munich situation. Not quite so, and I love it. I think it's great for football, what's happening right now. And yeah, for sure, this is a dream start and a dream season. If LFC are up around 20 points at Boxing Day, call it a wrap, which is a possibility. It's a total possibility. We had the best weekend without kicking the ball. I agree. I'd say we did have the best weekend out of everyone. So, excuse me. As for stuff that I'm reading in the news, Darwin Núñez. Darwinito. And then happily, you did say the league would be won with 90 points. I think it will be. It might be won with less. I'm thinking maybe 88 could even work. But I mean, we haven't had a point tally that low in a while. I think maybe since Manchester United won it last. But 90, I think, is to be safe. But Darwin Núñez, I know we wanted to talk about Darwin Núñez. Here's the thing, guys. I like Núñez a lot. I really do. And it's going to be really hard for me to not criticize him, obviously, but it's also going to be hard for me to defend him. But to be fair, just a week ago, we were talking about how great he was and how he's putting in the hard yards and he's doing things that we're not really seeing other forwards do, which is true. And that's why I mentioned maybe we put him in a different position. I think there's talent still there. There's talent still there with Darwin Núñez. There is. There's a player still there. There's a player to be had. I think we need to find out how to utilize him correctly, right? And I think I said this in the last stream as well. It's like we're just trying to to put actually happily did say 90 points. I remember him saying that, Red Chili. Believe it or not, happily did say 90 points should do it. This was like months ago though. But I do remember him saying 90 points should do it this season, which is actually kind of a little prophetic. But I think that's why I was thinking like maybe we could move him to a different position and we could see if he works better as an attacking midfielder. I saw somebody put their team sheet out. They want him to play him as a left wing. Maybe we see a front three of Nunes, Jota, and Chiesa as him as like an inside left winger, a left forward, accompanying Jota in there and being able to have one-on-ones and being able to bully a right back and being able to be physical, right, and use his pace and use his power and his shooting, right? I'd love to see that experiment. I don't know if it will ever happen, but and then Chiesa on the right side, and then you got a bunch of left wingers. So I don't think it's time to cut our losses on Darwin. I do think it is time to buy another forward. Is that forward a Marmoush? I don't know. I think a Šeško or Gyökeres would probably be the most ideal replacement for a Nunes if we were to move him to a new position. A young kid that we can develop, 20, 22, 21 years old, and Benjamin Šeško. I think he's 22 now. I think he's like the safest pick if you're going to go and buy a forward and spend big money on them. I think you could get Šeško maybe for like 50 or 60 and not the 80 or 100 that you would get Gyökeres for, and probably the 60 to 70 that you would get Marmoush for now. Higher upside, not 25 like the other two are, right? And there's nothing wrong with being 25. It's still very young, and you're going into your prime, but you get more years out of a player like Ben Šeško. And if you want to go with a seasoned striker who is more polished and maybe is a little bit more proven, maybe you go with Luis Openda. I like Openda a lot as well. Maybe go back to RB. We have a relationship there. We have Jurgen Klopp, who is running the whole damn thing. We've shopped there plenty of times for plenty of players. That's a relationship that I would keep an eye on, guys. I would keep an eye on that relationship. So don't be surprised if we go shopping at RB for a forward. Don't be surprised, right? Like, I know a lot of people are saying, Marmoush. But the thing is, Gladbach has been very outright, or Frankfurt has been very outright that they don't plan on selling Marmoush or any of their players because they're trying to qualify for the Champions League. And if they were to sell any of their players, it's going to be for a big fee. And knowing FSG, I don't think they would spend that type of money on a 25-year-old. I think they maybe do it for a younger player like Darwin was, right? Darwin was 22 years old when we bought him, I believe. And that's when they did shell out the 80 million for a player like Darwin. I feel like they could do something similar, especially if we can get Ben. I'm hearing that Ben has a gentleman's agreement with RB that they will allow him to leave in January if a team that he felt, was big enough came along, and they would allow him to leave in the regions of 60. I think that's more realistic. As for Openda, I don't know what their price tag is for Openda, but as we know, RB is always open to selling. They're always open to selling their players because they always got 2 or 3 other kids coming right behind them that are just as good, right? So as much as we love the idea of bringing Marmoush in and him being the Egyptian prince and picking up exactly where Salah takes off, the logistics just don't make sense to me personally, mainly because Frankfurt I don't think will sell. Secondly, I think he will be overpriced for his age and his body of work, which I think FSG is probably going to be thinking the same thing. We're going to be looking at 60, 70, maybe 80 million for Marmoush is what they'll probably demand, with it being in January, with there being a lack of quality strikers around, and with him being one of the highest and maybe one of the highest performing forward in all of Europe right now. They're going to ask for a lot of money for him. So I can't see it, FSG sanctioning that. Maybe if it was a cheaper deal, definitely. But we'll see. And I'm not sure Nunes was the foundational skills to play midfield. He has good passing. which I think is one of his most underrated qualities. And I don't know if you guys saw, I posted a, a post that Salah did an interview recently, and they asked, who is your favorite player you've ever played with? And he said it was Bobby Firmino, but now it's Darwin Núñez. And I know a lot of you guys don't like him, but he's actually one of the best players that I've ever played with. And he says, I don't think you guys understand his game. And maybe we don't. Maybe we don't understand Darwin Núñez's game. Maybe we need to listen to Mo Salah and we don't understand what Darwin Núñez is able to do for Mo to where he's been able to have a season like he's had. And I think he's like already in our top 10 of duos that have combined Mo Salah and Darwin Núñez is. Right? So I think he does have a role somewhere in the team. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And then LFC haven't played anyone yet. Yes, we still need to play Stoke City. Don't forget that. Once we play Stoke, then we've played the top of the top. Played the top of the top. And it's all a guessing game. It's true. We will see what FSG does. If they even move forward, I don't know if they will. I can see them moving for a holding midfielder. I can see them moving for a center back and a left back. I know Kirkez is in the mix. Kirkez is heavily linked and has been brought up a lot. And there's rumors that we've already started negotiating with them. I can definitely see that one coming in. I think it'd be smart to get a center back given the situation that we have right now, because we can easily just slide Gomez over to the right back and move in that stopgap center back in there. Younger guy. I like Joral Hato, if you guys know who I'm talking about. I've brought him up a bunch of times. He's Dutch, 18 years old, absolute beast, already captaining the Ajax side. I think he's a perfect left back, center back, kind of fill in role. And Kirkez. If we got both of those kids, oh my word, that's a perfect window for me. You get both of those kids, you get a holding midfielder in there to give Ryan Gravenberch some rest. I think we go on and we win it. But who that holding midfielder is, I don't know. And maybe we don't go forward this January. If there's anything that I know, I don't think we go forward this January. I do think we go for one in summer. If we buy a forward this January, I will be surprised, stunned. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but I'd be stunned. I think the more likely thing that's going to happen is that Kirkez deal, a center back, and a holding midfielder. The most likely, I think maybe two signings. Put the two in the window, a left back and a holding midfielder. That's what I'm hearing the most right now, which I think may happen. So we'll see. I love Núñez, but Slot's style of play requires too much versatility. It does. And I don't know. I don't know where he fits in this whole thing, because he's almost acting like a midfielder in some instances in this Slot style where he's tracking all the way back and winning the ball back. I mean, I've seen him track back all the way to left back and all the way to right back and win balls back. So I'm interested to see what continues with Núñez, if he hits a vein of form, or if, like what Mo said, we're just not understanding what the role that he's playing. And then Dan said, they say we haven't played anyone. We could always play Workington Reds. I hope we do, man. I know that's your hometown team. That'd be a dream one. I mean, who are we playing in the next round of the I think it's the Carabao Cup, right? We're playing I think it's like a League 2 team. So maybe once we play them, they'll be like, all right, they played real competition. We'll bring up Dan's and then look for a right back and a left back. I don't know if we go for a right back, because I feel like if we go for a right back, that immediately takes the time out of Connor Bradley. Connor Bradley's development. I think we're actually equipped in right back. And I think Gomez is supposed to be the right back replacement, but we're just down a center back when we should have bought a center back before the season started. So Gomez has to play center back right now. And that's kind of throwing a wrench into everything, and we weren't expecting both Trent and Connor Bradley to be down. So crazy. Let's see here. Southampton in the League Cup, and then I think in the FA Cup we play Accrington Stanley. Yep. Connor is hurt, and I think Trent goes. That's a good point, Brian. If that does happen, we do. I hear that we're fielding some inquiries for Jeremy Frimpong. I heard that recently too, and I like that. But Jeremy Frimpong for me is more of a right winger. I don't know if he plays as a right back in this Liverpool side. You guys let me know what you think. Because I feel like he's the only one that's at that level that we need in that position in terms of versatility and attack, because it's such an important position for us that our right back does need to be attacking minded in this slot system, as we seen in the Newcastle game when Trent came on and changed it. So, but that is all I have for you guys today. Excuse me. My voice is finally starting to give out after 1 hour. Appreciate you all. I will see you on the next one. Really excited for the days to come. Put down below what your predictions are for the for the Champions League game this week.